Hello, I'm John Eaton. You might remember when I left you recently, Mary, the children, and I had left our old home at Rosebery and moved to Teebar in the Wide Bay region. I now wish to continue my story. I was the first person to bring cattle into the Wide Bay region. Prior to this, the squatters had run sheep on their properties. By 1855, spear grass was affecting the sheep. There was no spear grass in the district before the arrival of the white man. It came inadvertently amongst the sheep's wool when they were brought into the district. The sharp ends of the grass would penetrate the skin of the sheep, which would become infected. In the early days, the Aborigines resented the white man intruding on their territory, and on at least one occasion they set fire to the shingle roof of the slab-walled Teebar homestead. On another occasion, some of my men and I were working a short distance from the house when Aborigines armed with spears began to sneak up on us. They were spotted by some members of the family in the house, and two of the older girls armed themselves with rifles and ran down to warn me. The Aborigines saw them and tried to cut off their retreat back to the homestead. By moving from tree to tree, the girls were able to make it back to the safety of the house. A couple of men always stayed near the homestead, so the women and children weren't left unprotected in the event of an assault from the scrub. Private tutors were employed at the station to give the children an education. Priests also visited the property regularly to conduct religious services. Once we were settled on Teebar, I began to take an interest in Maryborough's community affairs. I began attending various meetings in the town. I also bought a number of allotments in the township. On the 25th of March 1856, I also purchased a block of land which consisted of 35 acres and 2 roods on the southern bank of the Mary River at Tanana, not far from Baddow Island. I paid £1 per acre for this property. I had a fine double-story house built on this land. The lower story was constructed of bricks made on the property. It had a long dining room and also a drawing room, each having an open fireplace. The top story was made of timber, and it included the bedrooms as well as a ballroom lit by a chandelier. Imported English slate was used on the roof. Both floors had a veranda. The 4 doors from the veranda to the main reception area had glass panels imported from Italy. Each panel was etched with a Greek goddess to represent the 4 seasons. A piano was carried with much difficulty up the cedar staircase to the ballroom. We named the new house Rose Hill, and we took up residence in 1859. In the years to come, we planted a fine rose garden on the slope reaching down to the Mary River. Trips were made into Maryborough in an imported landau carriage which was the first in the township. It was drawn by 5 horses. My son-in-law, James Nichols, took over the running of Teebar for me. James had married my daughter, Elizabeth, at Teebar in 1858. I took over the lease of a property south of Maryborough called Tyro, which consisted of about 300 square miles. It had originally been taken up by John Eales of the Hunter River in the early 1840s. He abandoned it after a number of his shepherds and hut keepers were killed by the local Aborigines. A number of other settlers had tried to settle the district, but all were unsuccessful. I managed to make a go of it. When my father died in 1858, I received an equal share of his horses, mares, foals, and cattle. At a meeting in the courthouse on the 5th of November 1859, James King encouraged farmers in the district to grow cotton. He claimed a 75% could be made on money invested in the crop. As a result of this meeting, the Wide Bay Cotton Growing Association was formed. 200 shares were taken up at this first meeting. On behalf of the association, I purchased 295 acres of land on the eastern bank of the Mary River below Walker's Point. The association soon ran into trouble with expenditure exceeding income. King blamed the directors and the directors blamed King. At a meeting held on the 19th of October 1860, all of the directors, except for James Buchanan, were removed from office on the grounds of incompetency. James Cleary, George Howard, Thomas Sudlow, Richard Milner, and myself were appointed to the new board. James Buchanan became the new chairman. The new board then reinstated King. This was greeted with approval from the meeting. In 1860 I bought a property near Rose Hill called Gherkin and began to grow sugar cane on it. I renamed the property Eaton Vale and eventually built the Eaton Vale sugar mill on it. When the Wide Bay and Burnett Pastoral Society was founded in 1860, I became one of its vice presidents. That same year some Maryborough residents petitioned the governor of the new colony of Queensland for the township to be elevated to the status of municipality. The following year I was one of 102 Maryborough residents to sign a counter-petition claiming Maryborough was not yet ready for municipal incorporation. We were unsuccessful and the township was proclaimed a municipality in March 1861. Despite my earlier opposition, I was one of 12 citizens who accepted nomination for alderman. I came second at the forthcoming election, which was held on the 26th of April. As Henry Palmer won the highest number of votes, he was elected Maryborough's first mayor at the first meeting, which was held in Thacker's Hotel in Adelaide Street. That same year I purchased the lease to a 16,000-acre property called Booney on the western bank of Tanana Creek, south of Maryborough. Henry Palmer resigned as mayor in August. The following month I was elected mayor at a special council meeting. I held the position until February 1862, when James Dowser took my place. I resigned my position as alderman in May because of business pressures. About this time the first Maryborough annual races were held, and I was the official judge at the meeting. I was appointed one of the trustees of the Racecourse Reserve. In 1864 I served as chairman of the committee of the Wide Bay District Hospital. Also in 1864, the Crown took over my Tyro property and surveyors cut up a portion of it to be sold as allotments so the new township of Tyro could be created. I was amongst those who purchased land at the first auction. On Thursday, the 22nd of June 1865, the Maryborough Sugar Company was formed. I was appointed one of the provisional directors. Henry Palmer was elected chairman. The company had a nominal capital of £10,000 in £250 shares. The subscribers paid £10 per share on allotment, followed by 4 equal calls, 6, 12, 15, and 18 months later. I had 10 shares in the company. 1,000 acres were selected along the southern bank of Tanana Creek and preparations were made to grow sugar cane there. We attended the Church of England and I held the position of churchwarden. My daughter, Veronica, has just arrived, so I'll have to finish this story at a later date. Bye for now.